But right now, I think we're in a relationship with the blue line, and it kind of sucks because it can work like an equilibrium. I have reason to believe that we might actually have a little bit of a channel there, and that what we've done out of the bottom um, wasn't quite replicated out of the top, but they did a good effort. I mean, I feel like there's only wicks and spikes out of the top. But of this middle area, this is probably the worst place, I would say, to get back to it. But it's the worst place because anybody that's ever positioned from the middle line seems to get attacked again in the short term. And in the long term, I guess. I've noticed that, there's a specific distance and time between how much we spend away from that line before returning to it. Is that not suspicious in particular? I think it is. And then when we look back at these levels down here, and you can see like what happened before. Well, we had a giant consolidation that's kind of like that one. I'm like, oh, could this one be like that one? I'm like, yeah, of course it could be. it seems quite basic, but I'm like, how can we look at it for that long and not notice all that stuff's happening? Because it's a matter of fact that it is happening like that. If we understand it does like to make perfection like this, we can look for perfection. And it's not like this every single day. We can do it backwards, upside down. And the one thing I like to look for are the mathematical precisions, like equality and the distance and the time, everything the chart is willing to give us. Like anytime I start talking about time, it can really give you an idea of like really like don't fret about it if it's obvious that we're gonna make this much space, if it's allowed to do that much space, and it's like when we leave the channel, is it this much from the middle? Do we like to make away? Generally. And does when we do that, is it this much time as well? And I'm like, you think the people are doing that? Or they just don't know what they're doing and they're somehow making this mathematical precision? I just don't accept it. I'm like, there's no freaking way. We have to watch for it to come back to the blue bar as well. That's one thing that's like really important to it. And in doing that, it's left a W, so that honestly looks like it would be a good wave 2 of a 5-wave move. If it wanted to make a 61 off of a 5-wave move, that's also possible. There is a B point that's in there now. Watch out for that. Any stops that are dragged above the blue bar at all are likely to get stopped out though. So the factor of this blue bar is that we could spend about this much time away from it. So we have to watch out for that. Roughly that much time spent away from it. But mark my words, everything we ever do on top of that blue bar will be taken back down to it. And not from this point either, but everything we ever do on top of this blue bar will be taken back to it. If it's exciting, just know it will be taken back to the blue bar. That's the major factor about that. I saw that there were parallel blue lines and then basically a medium point in between them that was attacked multiple times and used for B points and equilibriums. And then the same distance that we made away from the spike there, we made over here, and then the same distance that we made in between those, we seem to make quite frequently as well. After all, it's not like it wants people to notice that it does this. It does this on top of what people know. And I'm like, I just can't deny that there's a lot of mathematical precision. Like, if I circle these areas and identify this area with a box, space. Let's see what it looks like to get from here to here, down to here, and here. Do that same kind of progress away from it. Might be a little bit different with wicks and spikes and such, but is the area filled in using the same kind of method to move away from it as it did before? We've done this a lot, just in a different way. Like when we do that, it's like an M into a W. And when we do this, it's like a 5-wave move that comes from something and leads to the same thing. We know that it chose to spend all of this day contained within a plan that fit those parameters. So yeah, this 5-wave move is totally eaten back into that entire dump there. And everything that ever happened on top of the blue bar was taken right back down to it. Absolutely precise, really perfectly. It denied the friggin' B point in the name of making this into a 5-wave move. And that's honestly what I was looking for. At the end of the day, there is a new trend like every 5-wave move gives. And I'm like, hold on, let's just see for a second. Like, what is it cool if we do that? Can we do that? Of course we can. At any given time, you know? Is it so far off? Not really, actually. Another thing that's intriguing is in the event that we decide to make the same distance away from the blue bar on the bottom, if we did it from over here, getting to the B point would be appropriate. Like, if we made that movement over here. So I'm like, what about that? Or when do we stop that movement? Like, it's a risk. It's not necessarily something to sell the long trade over. It could be something to hedge for. This one, from the bottom to the top, is the B point. These two go together. And this one particularly is related to this one up here, where this high is. So the risk of it getting there is moderate, the 61, having made a slightly lower low, target made clear at high of day. At the high of day. Anything acquired at that time wants to be made very safe at this point.